Hey guys, so today is collaboration day in the Lather games. And so I'm using Nobble Texaus. And the criteria for being a collaboration soap is it needs to have the logo of two makers on it. APR did the scent on this one, and Nobble Otter, of course, did the soap base. So they had to create that designation. There are others like Seaforth Heather, where Sean Maher of Maher Olfactive did the scent for Heather Seaforth, but it's just not on the label, and they just want to be extra clear and stuff. So I had to pick one that had both on there, and I love Texas. I wish I had more opportunity to use it. I wish there were more shaves in the day, and as a collaboration for today, I also have this brush. This has that traditional look of the, not ever ready, but I keep freezing up on the brain. The handle is a little bit thinner in the traditional version, rubber set 400, and but this is a thicker one. And it's made by Alpha. The handle is made by Alpha, but it was a collaboration brush released on a certain forum. I can't remember which one. And Thader is actually the folks who did the knot, and it's their 2-band knot that they have. And it's probably has a little bit too much backbone for me. I'm making sure I give it a good dose of water before the shave, a good long soak to get as much pliability into it as I can. Got an early dentist appointment tomorrow, so this may be a short shave. Also, we have in the scent department, the Texaus has a neat citrus, sandalwood, musk type of accord with it. And I think along in that same family, we might get some common notes with Gracio League Square from Chatty Lux. It's the old school balm that they did, Salve. They called it a Salve. And I've used it recently right before the games. And it's almost like butter in there, and you have to mix it up. And so that's why I brought along a little stir stick. And so I'll mix that up before I put it on. It's such good stuff for your skin, but I think he switched away from it because it was separating and stuff. And I think he was getting I wouldn't be surprised if he was getting a lot of complaints from people who didn't know any better. It doesn't work any less. All you do is stir it up and you're good, right? The cologne I decided to use, keeping along the lines of the woody, the musky, the Gracio League Square, I really like the genre that we're working in here with the Texaus and the sandalwood and all that. And Stirling's Barbershop EDT here, it's got a nice ambery slant on the traditional barbershop scent. And so it's going to finish me off nicely, I think. So I think all these scents are going to work well together and in a stream, in a flow that I particularly enjoy. So there's that. So yesterday I used for the razor, I used my brand new to me Pearl Flexi adjustable razor because I just got it in and it worked for that day. And so that was enjoyable. But before that, I used a Gillette Aristocrat 15. And so today we have his next of kin, the 16. And we'll talk later about what differentiates, maybe at the end of the video, what differentiates it from the 15 if you can't tell already, and that sort of thing. Give you some hints right there if you paid attention on the 15 video. Now we'll take the Nasset blade. Now this is the penultimate shave for 4 centuries of use. Here is the little Sharpie dots there, and the N and the 1. Hopefully you can see my etching that I did a while back there. And because tomorrow is Wednesday, and it's going to be the 400th shave of this guy. So the 16 is a beautiful piece of engineering. It's like jewelry that you get to use every day. Similar remarks that I made about the 15. And so I'm looking forward to using it today. Get my face wet. And let's load up. It's been a while since I've used this soap, so that means I should probably tack on a little bit extra load time. We'll say 35 seconds just to be, maybe that'll be a kind of conservative amount in this case. So 51 rolled around right there. And so that means we'll go to 26. I can already feel the density here in this knot giving me some backbone. Plenty of water in this brush. I did shake it out, but maybe not as much as I should have, but it'll probably be just fine. And there we go. The soap was starting to separate from the container. That's how long it's been since I've used this wonderful soap. Just terrific. This is one of those that I can use all the time. Oh man, that feels great. All right. The Bully Boy was I think a release of about 40 razors that I did manage to get in on, and I like the rubber set handle so much. The copycats, like the Razor Rock version that looks the same, and another one that's out there, they came to a broader point right here, and so the fluting right here in between the 2 points was actually too small for my fingers, and so they were not very ergonomic for me. This one being a larger, thicker handle is nice. However, it's a bit heavy, and so I'm deciding about it. I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep it around or not. So we're kind of a pasty right now, just kind of working it a little bit. We can start adding. I've got my 40 milliliters here to start out with. We'll just see how much we end up using. Hey, the daily challenge today is to give a shout out to some users on the Reddit sub that we're all a part of doing these lather games here. And man, it's such a helpful community. It's entertaining and funny as well, and so there's all manner of ways in which you can enjoy interacting with people on the sub. In a similar way, I've just been totally surprised and by how much I've enjoyed interacting with you guys on YouTube. In the comments, when I don't do live shaves, but then also, of course, when we're able to have the live interactions here, it's just really awesome. For the wet shaving subreddit, I have just give a shout out to my kindred spirits, Old Hiker and Needs More Menthol and Malthus the Shaver. Those guys, we like those old performance soaps, and most of us don't go for some big overloaded brush, to start out our lather. We like performance soaps. We like the hard milled soaps. I was just thinking, Old Hiker is similar to me in so many respects, especially our love of boar brushes. I noticed that lately he's gotten a Semogue Owners Club boar brush that he's working on. About the time I got my Semogue Torga C5, he got one as well. And I put some uses on it, and then he was able to keep going with it where I had to move to other brushes. And it's one that needs some breaking in because it's kind of short and stubby. And so it was really stiff in the beginning. It had a lot of backbone. This lather's looking pretty good. Let me rinse. Oh, the scent here is just terrific. The sandalwood is pretty smooth. It's not jumping out as a sharp type of sandalwood like the Perazzo Red, And that's okay because he did state, I think it was Vanuatu and Australian sandalwoods. So perhaps those are less pungent forms of the sandalwood scent. Let's take a look at the consistency here. Nobble Otter is a terrific base. It's got good skin loving features in it. This lather looks terrific. Let's just go with that. And these tips are soft, but not overly soft. They're definitely not gel tips, but they're also not as soft as like a silver, your better silver tip brushes. Now we can definitely add some water if we wanted to. You see that little guy sticking up all on his own accord there? I don't know. Something tells me I may not want to sell this brush because this handle's pretty unique. And I think this knot, I don't know, it might get a little more friendly if I put more uses on it, Yes, we've got some good concentrate here. Let's put a few drops here on the brush. It's not a strong scent, for me at least. You've also, in addition to kind of the old guys that I have seemingly old guys that I have kind of an affinity for, you've got just a tremendous wiry guy is doing this great thing in the lather games where he is taking the many of the popular shaving vendors in turn and putting out a nicely researched story and history about them. HD, hey man. Dude, I know you've been busy. That's no problem, That is all right. And see, that's really funny, HD, because I was just mentioning your little genre of enjoyment that I get. I was mentioning Wiry Guy and how he puts forth a lot of good information in his Lather Games posts and the historical stuff that he's putting together, which I think is invaluable for our community. But then you've got, folks, I like to kind of group HD Shaves. He's got his YouTube channel. He's over on Reddit as well. He and Cosmo Barber, they have some really nice YouTube work. Cosmo is famous for the precision lathering technique. HD has a great demeanor on camera and I like his input about single edge razors, and he does good research into the scents and things like that. So I really enjoy. I don't subscribe to. Well, I do subscribe to maybe about a dozen different other shavers, but Aishi Shaves is one of the very few that I pay attention to his videos when they come out. So thank you, sir, for putting out good content. We really do, man. We do have a nice little community. That's for sure. All right. So we've got the 16 today, and some things that make the 16 different from the 15. We've got the solid bar. Now, see, HD did a video the other day, a week or two ago, where he used a 15, but he had a solid bar of 15. Most 15s that are out there are open comb. There are some 15s that I believe there are some with a solid bar. Typically, those are actually 21s in many cases, but there are some 15s out there that are solid bar. Now, this is a 16 right here, and we can tell because we see the center bar coming out of the between the barn doors there. We see it's solid bar. We see the knob here is solid. The base plate is the flat base plate, the what many people call solid base plate. See, there's no diamond bevel in here. We also see these are notched. The ends are notched. A couple days ago, I told you about how the flared ends were gotten rid of for the gimmicky little blade removing notch. And so that's what that looks like right there on the center bar. On each end, there's a little notch. And this guy is a nice, smooth shaver. You can tell that you've got good blade support right toward the edge of the blade. It's just terrific. So let's see how he does on use number 399. Wildcard Wednesday is tomorrow, and it really is a beautiful razor. Thank you. I like to say it's a piece of jewelry that you can just use every day if you want to. So tomorrow is the number 400, and it'll be fun. All right, here we go. Just a tiny bit of tugging, not really very much. These United Kingdom aristocrats really kicked the American aristocrats' butt nicely. That the typical aristocrat, not the 34 or the 36, but the kind of standard aristocrat that's more popular with that thick handle and stuff is okay. But these guys are so smooth while they cut really well. It's just a different level of performance. There we go. Peter, hey man. All right, roger that. He'll pay attention as he can while he's in his Zoom meeting. HD, I used my Pearl Flexi. I just got that in recently, used it yesterday. And unfortunately, I think it has a slightly messed up base plate alignment, but it's very slight. It's angled a little bit. And that's Zesty Calco had the similar problem. It's like one end of the blade is like one setting off of the other end of the blade. And so if you set it on a 2, then one end might be a 2 and the other end would be a 3. And so it's not really a huge tragedy. But if you're going to pay that much for a razor, you kind of want it to be right. But it's a neat piece. I'm really looking forward to. I hope they replace it. I hope I can contact them. Oh, now this is super comfy. We got a nice reduction in the beard in that first pass, kind of more than I thought, because this is enjoyable right here. Oh, well, I'm going with the grain again. Kind of habit, I guess. Well, see, we can do kind of a fast pass there. And a quick rinse. And so we just did 2 with the grain passes. Why not? When you've got awesome suds and a good brush, then messing up and doing an extra pass is enjoyable. And HD also, man, my live shaves are usually starting at midnight. It's crazy. My schedule. I usually release a video the day after I make it so that I have 24 hours to work on the copy. I have a little bit of slack, you know, I don't have to just do it right after the shave, but because of the lather games, I'm having to do it the day of. So one reason you may not have caught my other stuff is well, number one, hey, HD Shaves is one of the guest judges that sometimes rotates in and out of the games. It's been terrific this year with the judges because it used to be that last year they had to read every single post. But this year they're dividing them out. It's really much better for them. They're having a lot more enjoyment with the games. And so I'm really, really happy for them. Linus, yesterday I almost forgot the daily challenge, and it was because of live viewers, Peter specifically, who let me know, hey, what's the daily surprise today? The daily challenge. Well, I've already done it here on the video. The daily challenge is to just enjoy the community by just giving shout outs to people in the wet shaving community on Reddit there that you want to. And so, you know, I get information from HD Shaves, and I enjoy watching him on his videos, and he's also on the Reddit community. And let's do a rinse. I also specifically mentioned a couple other guys, Old Hiker and Needs More Menthol and Malthus the Shaver, and we all kind of are in some ways cut from the same cloth and kind of enjoy our boar brushes and our good hard soaps and things like that. But thank you, Linus, for making sure. I appreciate that very, very much. I think we pretty much got the perfect lather today. It is very well hydrated. The slickness is tremendous. It doesn't feel like it's too drippy. Let's do a contact test here. It's not resisting my squeezing too much. Yeah, it's on the maybe the thinner side of perfect, but it's laying down a wonderful. There's a light fuzziness, a light silkiness to the contact here. It's not a thin, watery kind of contact like you might get with a cheaper soap or some of the vegan soaps out there, some of the not as good vegan soaps. And that resonant slickness stays behind as you move your hand around. And so that's the way it should be. You know, it is a little bit transparent with micro bubbles, but that's just fine. It's leaving on the skin that wonderful layer of protection and slickness. So slickness has been excellent today. So let's do my last pass here, cross grain. And we've got a great deal of comfort. And I expect this guy's going to be pretty comfortable with the against the grain pass because he's a little bit more mild than the 15 open comb. And so for me, the mild razors seem to be doing really well with that against the grain pass in general. Before the against the grain, let's do a cross grain in the opposite direction. Then We'll just get some hand lather and lay it down for the final strokes. Oh, that's pretty good. That is a good, this is a good razor to use. My hair, my stubble, man, it must just lay down right on the skin. It just, many razors just, it's almost like it's picking up the skin into the razor blade if I'm not careful. But see the residual slickness here, it's just terrific. A Nobble Otter, it came into being as a vendor, and then it just rose quickly up to the ranks to be rightfully named along with people like Holy Cow, Barrister and Mann, Declaration Grooming, for good reason. Now, if you have dry skin, Nobble Otter is one to take note of because they do have some nice nourishing ingredients in their soap to help your skin along. You'll also want to do the balm or whatever kind of cream, CeraVe or Olay Complete or whatever. Old Hiker likes the Olay Complete. And while I don't need that moisturization, he definitely does. But he has been a proponent of that for a very long time. And you can tell there are some other guys in the sub who obviously have very dry skin, and they're really being helped out by his advice. All right, so now we've got that wonderful scent. So we'll take and stir up our Gray League Square Salve from Chatty Lux. Put the excess on. We don't want to waste this good stuff, right? Now, with that comfy shave, I kind of don't need a whole lot of healing. I don't have any irritation. I did have some kind of bothersome tenderness while I was doing that against the grain stroke, but it disappeared right when I was done. And that pretty much has been the rule during this month of shaving. All right, so in a minute, oh yeah. Oh man, that is so good. Gray League Square is such a good scent. That is nice. Man. So that 35 seconds of lather, of loading in the soap, did get me plenty of lather. I did 4 or 5 passes of shaving, and I still have a couple of passes left here. And as you can see, it's very elastic, and it was nicely enjoyable. It set this brush, these tips, in a nice light. One nice thing about a brush with maybe a little more backbone than I might like is that you can really just kind of work like if you've got a hard soap you're loading from, you just don't have a hesitancy about churning on that soap, and also just working your face extra if you want to. Then the higher backbone brushes can do that, and they don't feel floppy or weird. So there we go. And I'm going to clean out the sides of the Texaus. And this may have been my first Nobble Otter soap. And I was looking at the soaps that I've gotten from him. And while he does put out some that I haven't liked, like Raw, and others that I never bothered trying. Oh, Barbar. That one was either vanilla or something that was just too much for me, but a lot of people like it. It's his barbershop. But he's got like half a dozen that aren't just, I enjoy them, but like Texaus, that I really enjoy them. Plunder. There's that Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb, Kaboom. There is, what else did I notice? there's just some really good ones. And so when he provides a scent that I like, it's usually one that I really like, which is really cool. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, hey, remind me sometime and I'll send you a sample. I'll make you a sample. HD shaves. All right. So we used up about 22 milliliters of water in today's shave. And now I think, oh yeah, you know what? I think the amber type of note that's in Stirling Barbershop, I can already smell it in the Gracia League Square. So this should be a very friendly operation here between these two. Very cool. I decided I was talking with somebody on YouTube, and they mentioned, we were talking about Sandpiper, and I loved the soap a lot. I like the scent quite a bit. And they said, I bet that would be good as an EDT. And then I thought, wait a minute. Yeah, I think it would. Just certain levels that I like and stuff, the different types of genre that it's trying to hit, kind of cologne-y, but thick in certain ways. And so I went ahead and bought it. And I also bought the Barbershop because I really think the Stirling Barbershop is a very wearable scent. And I think it's a barbershop that's more along my favorite end of the barbershop spectrum. Peter, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're in your Zoom meeting, and I got all the passes done. Let's check the closeness. Pretty good. Pretty good. It could use a touch up, but we're fine. We're going to roll with that. And yeah, the Stirling Barbershop is keeping up very nicely with the Gracia League Square and the Texaus. It's terrific. The Texaus definitely bowed back a little bit because it's not as intense as these other two scent items, and so it is kind of a lower strength soap. So don't buy it if you're looking for something. Of course, it was probably a limited release, so you may not be able to get it now anyway. Maybe used, right? All right. Well, hey, let us take our Sharpie of iteration and put my 399th dot on the card for the Nasset right down there. And so we got one little space left for the 400th, which will be tomorrow, Wild Card Wednesday. And the trick to Wild Card Wednesday is not using a soap. Let's say not using a shaving, lathering type product that somebody else has used. You can be the first one, but don't use one that somebody else has used, or yours doesn't count. Your points don't count for that day. And it has the benefit of being the only day where you can use a non-soap product. Meaning if you want to lather up with motor oil or, dishwashing detergent, obviously, hopefully nobody's an idiot and does something unsafe, but it's neat to see what some people get creative. One of the interesting things in this lather games, there is a guy who has done a lot of creative thinking, and he has done a yard raised chicken scented soap. And and it's been talked about this whole time. He's actually sent samples around to other shavers, and they're starting to use it in their shaves. At one point, it was thought it was just a joke and a myth, but he showed pictures of him making it, and he's sending it to other people. Some people say it does smell like a chicken coop, and that, so it's kind of a huge joke. But he even did like a promotional video. He may have even created a website around it, just very creative and stuff. It's really cool to see people, put that much thought into it. But unfortunately, in terms of prizes, that leaves people like me who don't have the time to do that. We're probably not going to get as many points for our efforts as those guys are. And that's the way it goes sometimes, right? Right. Peter, how can you know what other people have done? Well, what you would do is you would look on the thread every day on the R Wet Shaving subreddit. There will be posted by the automatic thing at about 3 a.m. a post that says Lather Games SOTD thread. And so that's where everybody posts their items. And so you can look, if you're thinking about using plunder from Nobble Otter, then you can do a search for plunder right before your shave and see if anybody else has used it. And then do your shave and do your post, and then you're all right as long as you're the first one in. Now, of course, if you don't want to bother checking or timing something, you could pick something that's just super obscure, right? One guy, he would shave with a soap that his old neighbor lady gave him, and it was just a treasured memory. It was like she was old school, and it might have been Old Hiker that did this. She was old school and would make soap for her husband or something like that. And so then she gave some to him as well. And it's very special to him. But it was a shaving soap. And he would always use that on this day during the Lather Games. And of course, he was guaranteed nobody had that same soap. So there's that. Somebody joked around on the podcast this past weekend, the Lather Games podcast, that wouldn't it be interesting if somebody didn't go out to the fringes of the soap industry, of the soap market, but instead did Executive Man from Stirling or Seville from Barrister and Mann. So they're hugely popular, because if everybody's thinking, I'm going to go to the fringe, then that means the core is open for business. But all you have to do is, somebody else chooses the core, the Executive Man, then you're done, right? So that'll be interesting to see if anybody does something like that. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, that was Old Hiker with that old soap. Peter, I don't know if it was made with chicken fat. I don't think so. I think it's made with the actual eggs given by those yard raised chickens. I think that was the catch. You could go back and look through the Lather Games threads for his stuff. Slick as snot. It's not slick enough. Right. I all the time, I'll call Williams slick as snot, because it's one of those that is, if you take the time to get it right, it is slicker than anything else out there. It's just as slick as anything. And most people just don't believe you. But that's because they haven't put the time in. But that's the time when I'll usually say slick as snot. I think it feels slick sometimes, right? All right, guys. Well, I'm winding down here. Oh yeah, just enjoying. This was a whole scent genre that I'm just kind of floating in. I really like this one. If anybody has any questions or anything like that about shaving in general, or today's shave, or the Lather Games, then feel free to jump in while I'm cleaning up my gear. This is a dense knot, so as usual, you want to make sure to give it a good rinse, and especially look at the center there to make sure you get the soap out. Two band from Lather. And it is a good one if you want one, at least right now. I've used it 15 times, 20 times. If you look in the description of the video, maybe tomorrow or something, then it'll have in parentheses next to the brush how many times I've used it. And it is brand new, so that'll be accurate. And so if you're looking for a two-band brush that is not all jelly and soft and stuff, but has a slight bit of scrub to it for you, then the Lather two-band might be a good one to check out. one neat thing about it is that it could be a lifetime brush, because it's those jelly ones that have the potential to have the tips break or, die in some way. Whereas these that are not jelly at all will last a lot longer. And, if you are interested, if that's a priority for you. So we're working on the towel here for a second. And it didn't really change too much because it's not really a jelly brush. Peter, you're funny, man. That's all right. Zoomcast, work comes first. All right. And what did I say? I'll try to remember. Yeah, about 22 milliliters of water used. I've got an automatic computation thing in my my shaving app that will translate that into teaspoons. I need to change the app so it also displays the metric, because I know I've gotten a lot of communication from international folks. And so, of course, teaspoons is probably less relevant to you guys. As usual, the 3D lather bowl. If you look tomorrow, you'll see a link to the designs if you want to print your own. All right, guys, I think we're good. It's been a pleasure interacting with you guys. Usually we see about like 10 or 12 is the maximum number of viewers for my Lather Games live shaves. It's been great to be able to do it every day so far. Hopefully it works out that I can keep that up. Yeah, I am going on the road visiting family and stuff, but that's not until the Lather Games are over. So that's cool. One time I actually traveled across the United States during the Lather Games, and it was really hard to get my videos posted. But hopefully we can keep that up. I sure have enjoyed. It's nice when it's just a few folks. The benefit of that is that we can talk about whatever we want to talk about, and everybody gets their questions answered, and we all joke and laugh together and that sort of thing. Man, HD, thank you. I noticed that one of my guys posted to me, congrats, and I didn't see it coming. I did the math with my usual rate, and it was putting me at about September or October to hit 1,000 at my current growth rate, and to hit it during the Lather Games. I don't know what to attribute it to. I don't know if somebody else on a podcast mentioned me, or their own YouTube channel or something like that. I'm hoping that YouTube opens up the mobile streaming for me. They haven't done it quite yet, but now that I've got the 1,000 subs, then they should theoretically be looking at doing that. Peter, yes, the challenge for today was to throw some shout outs to people in the shaving community, specifically in the Lather Games, talking about the Reddit wet shaving community, people in the community who you just appreciate and you're just happy to be around and that sort of thing. So that was, and I did that a couple times during this. I tell you what, Peter is over in South China, and I've really enjoyed interacting with him on YouTube here for a while now. And it's just been really nice. Yeah, the camera here on this, actually, this has one benefit. This is my Chromebook. This camera does focus. If I hold my blade up close to you guys, it actually focuses, where the selfie camera on my phone doesn't. It's a little weakness there. But anyway, it is much more convenient than trying to find a place to put my Chromebook, or a separate webcam connected to my Chromebook. So hopefully that works out. HD Shaves is also a musician. I think I was watching one of your podcasts and heard you say, I knew that you were involved in music, but then that let me know that that area was the jazz organ or jazz piano, that kind of thing. I think that's really cool. You'll have to please send me a message sometime about some good smooth jazz to listen to. I'd love to create like a Pandora channel or something like that. Be cool. And man, Mood Indigo. I enjoyed your thoughts about Mood Indigo from Mammoth, and because I got that one as well. For me, the pepperiness killed it. it was too much. If it would backed off to about half, then those other notes for me would have really shone through. The mellowness, that sort of thing, would have really would have been something I could really connect with. But unfortunately, the pepperiness was. I even tried it again to see if maybe it would reduce, but I'm afraid it didn't. So that was one that I wished would have worked out for me. But who knows? I may try it again in the future. Oh man, I am still catching whiffs of the Gray Show League Square specifically. And the Stirling Barbershop is smoothing out to mainly what I'm getting is the amberiness, that sort of thing. Yes, I love PDP 63. That is a great scent. Prix de Provence, number 63. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Does PDP 63 have a big peppery note? Okay, you think that's peppery? See, I don't get a strong, I would definitely know if I got a strong pepperiness. Now, if there is I'm sure you're saying there's a peppery note, and I'm sure it's there, but I'll bet there are maybe some other notes that are there with it, that are on kind of equal ground. And so that's why I'm enjoying it. I definitely like pepper in some soaps that I've used. I like it quite a bit, but in Mood Indigo is just a little bit too strong. And it's one that a little bit too much, like too much salt in a dish, it can kill it for me at least. Yeah, the other notes too that are really warm. See, in Mood Indigo, the other notes are kind of smooth and cool and almost fruity like and that kind of thing, like if I recall correctly. And so they don't work with the pepper quite in the same way. They don't affect the pepper. They don't transform the pepper into something more friendly. At least to me, it seemed that way. But with the number 63, the pepper was working in concert with the other ones very nicely. Yeah. All right. I think, yep. Oh, here we go. Let's, so we talked about the 16 and the differences between it and the other razors. Now I will also say right before we close down that the 16 has a younger brother. The 16 is an expensive razor. Often they're coated in rhodium, and of course they're brass, as I'm kind of giving it a wash down here, a wipe down. The 66 is the companion to the 16, but it's the cheaper version. It doesn't have the solid base plate. It has the diamond shaped, and the 16 has the hollow handle here instead of the solid. I believe, I could be mistaken. There, of course, are websites that'll show you the 16. I've also done some shaves with my 16 before, so you can look those up if you want. But I believe the 66. And so I believe the 66 has the hollow like the 15 does. And then it's got the diamond right there, but it's a solid bar just like this one. And it's got a nice, I love this knurling pattern here. You've got a main spiral going down. And then in the opposite direction, you've got tiny spiral marks. And so I think it's just a tremendous look. And it's classic. Other people designing handles have definitely used these as inspiration. That's for sure. But the wonderful plate design here is what makes it so smooth, because that plate extends all the way to the edge of the blade there, very close to the edge. And so you get it. Yeah. Thank you very much. It is a pretty razor. Very nice. All right. So again, to determine if it's a 16, you can look for the notched center bar here. It's not a closed comb. It's a solid bar. Look for the flat, solid base plate, the solid knob here at the end. And then when the razor is tightened down, with the 15, you didn't have this gap here. It was flush, and it was a polished surface, whereas here, it's indented because this is part of the stuff that goes in the key there that goes up inside the handle. And there you go. And it's in this part of the handle, it's slightly more narrow, but the other parts will help you identify one versus the other. All right. Boom, boom. That's a good shave. Very comfortable, enjoyable, and nice and close. And we'll say good night. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Been great to talk to you. Take care now. Ming Tian Jian. Oh, hey, I know some Chinese phrases. Let's see what I can do. Peter, let's see if you understand. Of course, you've got Ni Hao Ma. Isn't that like, how are you doing? Something like that. And then there's Gehui Jala. I think that one means it's time to go home. And then Get you Ganhuala. I think that one means get back to work or get to work. Let's get to work. All right. Good. Okay. I got the hello, how are you? Very good. The Gehui Jala. All right. How did I do on the other two? The Get you Ganhuala and the Gehui Jala. Yeah. A friend who, yeah, very good. Yes. Nice. Time to go home. Excellent. My friend who taught, I had a chemist friend, and we worked together because I was in research and development, and he taught me those few phrases because instead of teaching me, wanting to teach me something, and oh yeah, tones are a bit off. Yeah, it's been years. It's been 28 years since he taught me those phrases. But yeah, hey Tito, welcome. We're right at the end of the shave. We're kind of closing down. Peter was signing off with a Chinese phrase, and that reminded me that I knew 3 Chinese phrases. And so I said them, and he got 2 of them from what I said. So Peter's over there in South China. So my chemist friend, I wanted him to teach me something that I could use with him every day instead of just teaching me like, hi, how are you? You know, and I wanted them to be statements rather than questions, because if anybody answers you back in a language you don't know, then you don't know anything, right? So I had him teach me some things that we would often say at work, like it's time to go home and, you know, get back to work, just to be funny, or let's go to work. Yeah. So this was the 399th shave. And it's just been fabulous talking with you guys. Yeah, man. Ciao, Tito. Catch it on the replay. All right. Well, I think it's time to shut down the stream. Yeah, Peter, he did teach me about the inflections. You know, some of them, you know, are, you know, come down, some go up and, you know, rise and fall, that sort of thing. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.